Welcome to this week's episode of the Lido Loop. I am your host, Jack McCraw. With me, as always, my good friend, Jesse Barboza, who is beating the heat right now. How are you feeling with this 100-plus degree weather for, the 20th day in a row?
Man, it is definitely hot. I mean, I've definitely seen many people cool off many ways, but how about that Disney worker that jumped in the river?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, at Disneyland, there was a maintenance worker. We don't know what was going on. He decided to take off his shirt and just jump into the rivers of America. And he swam back and got out without a fuss. But, I mean, have you ever had that happen to you where it's just so hot outside that, you know what, I think jumping in a river is probably the best way to cool off, right, Jesse?
I've definitely thought about it, I guess, especially consider I work in construction, and some days it's pretty hot.
I was going to say, I've been fortunate enough to never have an outdoor job like that since I was a teenager. And luckily, man, I just can't imagine those people that work out there in the heat. I mean, the guy is okay. I don't believe he's working for Disney anymore. But hey, sometimes when you just really need to cool off, you just got to jump into the river. And speaking of crazy stories, what's happening in cruise news, Jesse?
Yeah, so you're going to find out how cruise ships get their Parmesan cheese for that Pirate's Pizza.
Oh, my goodness. And trust me, it's not the kind of Parmesan cheese you want.
And also, we're going to talk about what to do with your selling cruise cards. And we're also going to talk about some cruise stats that a lot of these stats I found were like unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, we can't wait to break down some of those cruise stats. So for those of you new to the show, we are the Lido Loop. We talk about all things cruising, theme park, casinos, and travel. We usually do a theme park news and travel news section, but because Jesse has some breaking news for us, we're going to go ahead and talk about that, where Jesse booked another cruise, and we're going to tell you which cruise line he chose and what destinations he's going to. And to wrap it all up, we're going to talk about what to do when there are hurricanes during cruising season and how you can better prepare for them. That and much more on this week's episode of the Lido Loop. So for those of you new to the show, welcome. We are the Lido Loop, where we talk about all things cruising, theme park, casinos, travel, and more. But we always like to start the show with the cruise news. Now, we kind of teased this here in the opening, but Jesse, you and I made a show about proper cruise etiquette, but unfortunately, it came out before this incident occurred. What is one thing that we forgot to mention when it comes to proper cruise etiquette or proper use of utensils?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you're like, should you really have to say it? Like, I mean, there's certain things that, like, you can't cover all the cruise etiquette. There's certain things that you gotta be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, that's not even cruise etiquette. That's just, like, life etiquette. So, tell us about the story, Jack.
So there was a woman, it was on the Carnival Sunrise, which, the former Carnival Triumph. So let's just say that there's some pretty gross things that have happened on the ship's history. And this is the latest incident where a woman at some table...
It looked like the buffet, like the Lido.
Yeah, I think it was on the Lido buffet. I mean, that's the reason why you don't go there. So there was a lady, she was sitting at her table. There's two parts to this video. The first part, she was scratching her foot with her hand, which, you got an itchy foot, you got an itchy foot.
And then she ate a piece of pizza right with the same hand.
No sanitizer used, just, scratch your foot and then immediately just go eat some pizza. But I guess the pizza need a little bit more Parmesan cheese. And this is actually a cruise hack of how they get it. This lady was using a fork to scratch the bottom of her foot. Now, my first thought is, if you're scratching the bottom of your foot, you have some sort of fungus. That doesn't just naturally itch by itself unless you had maybe wet socks on. But even then, that is a petri dish for bacteria on the bottom of your foot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was kind of gross. It's one of those things that, like, I mean, there's a lot of gross stuff. I think that's probably the one that's actually been videotaped. That's probably what made it worse.
Did you see Carnival's response to that, Jesse? And if you have the quote, please read it to the audience.
Yeah, actually I did. So this is from Carnival Cruise Line. This is from their Facebook page. It says, "Hi, Carnival cruisers. We can confirm that the forks are intended for food, not foot care. Once we become aware of the situation, our team quickly addressed it with the guest and removed the utensil from service. While the video may be generating laughs and gasps online, cleanliness and hygiene are no joke to us. Our crew work hard every day to maintain high standards across our feet, which is crossed out and says fleet, and to ensure all guests enjoy a safe, clean, and comfortable vacation. See you on board. I think that's a great response, but I mean, me and you were kind of talking ahead of time. Like, I seriously doubt that they took that fork
No.
away.
Okay, so because we don't know when this incident occurred or when it went viral for that matter.
Exactly. I don't think that the Carnival, they knew until it went viral. I guarantee it was at least a couple of days. Who knows? They could have posted this after they left the ship. Am I right? I mean,
Yeah, and that fork could have just went through a dishwasher or, God forbid, it, slightly washed in the sink and then put back out there for someone else to use.
I'm almost positive that's exactly what happened. And I mean, I do admit though, like it was a good response by Carnival. It seems like they're kind of joking, but also like trying to say, "Hey, we keep our stuff clean," which most of the time Carnival does keep it clean. But I just hate that's a Carnival because Carnival just can't take a break. Like you said, the ship used to be Carnival Triumph, and so
Yeah, we all know about the famous poop cruise.
yeah,
I feel like the poop cruise is definitely much, much worse than like someone scratching the bottom of their foot with a fork, but it's still gross nonetheless.
yeah. But I mean, let's just hope that they actually did take it out of service, and no one else does anything like this in the future.
And so for the future, guys, let's not use utensils to scratch an itch we just can't scratch, and use them for food. And also, if you touch your foot, please wash your hands, or at minimum, use hand sanitizer before eating your food. But in other cruise news, Jesse, you and I kind of have talked about this of what to do with your sail and sign cards after you're done with a cruise. I know you have a collection of all of your sail and sign cards. Mine are in a drawer somewhere. What do you like to do with them?
Yeah, honestly, mine right now are all in a drawer, and every year, every so often, I always look up like on Reddit or look on online to figure out like what are people doing. And so actually, I did a search. I searched it up. I found out that a lot of people.
I feel like this is a good use of Google right here.
Yes, it is. I searched it up. Some people I hear that they make like a shadow box. They kind of put with all the cruises, and they put little ducks in it or whatever they want, which is cool, I guess. I've seen some people they just put like in like a card binder, like those little protectors that you have, like it has like 9 cards you put on.
So kind of like what we used to have one with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and baseball cards. You do that with your cruise cards now.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that. Actually, my favorite, and this I never heard this until actually I looked this up before this episode, kind of getting ready for this episode, is making ornaments, because it already has a hole, so all you gotta do is like put like a little string on it, and like your favorite cruises, I'm sure you can put like 2 or 3 of them together and hang them on your Christmas tree as like a Christmas ornament. I think that's actually a great idea.
Honestly, that sounds like a really nice, thoughtful idea, especially with the amount of ornaments that you put on a Christmas tree. You're gonna need filler now and then anyway. I mean, you can't keep using the same ornaments from the 90s that are all broken. Why not use your sail and sign card? Do you also put a little carnival tail on the top of your tree instead of a star or an angel?
I did, but it got struck by lightning and caught on
It
fire.
caught on fire.
And caught on fire, so it's just the straight part, not the welt.
Oh, yeah. See, that makes sense. You don't want to use that as a lightning rod in your own house. I mean, that would be Carnival's luck, though. They put their little tail on top, and that gets struck by lightning. Carnival just can't catch a break, can they?
No, I guess not. But there's like I said, there's multiple things you can do with it. If y'all have any great ideas, definitely let us know on our Facebook channel and or the YouTube video. Because I mean, I definitely still trying to figure out exactly what we're gonna do. I'm leaning towards this year doing the ornaments with them. I think that's great. But if y'all have any great ideas, like I said, just let us know.
I mean, you can hang them on your wall, kind of. I've seen people, especially like more so with Disney. They have magic bands, and every time they go to a Disney park, the magic band that they keep, lets them get in and out of the park, or you can attach your card to it, your hotel key. Used to be required, now it's optional. They have just a wall of bands. So I could see that with, the same with Carnival, key cards.
But at Disney, is it like can you use it on like every you can use
you can reuse it.
Yeah, okay, that's the same way like MSC has the same thing, like bands like that, and they give you a card, but then it's optional to get the band. So I mean, I like the band. I think it's cool, especially getting in your room, just tapping. You don't have to worry about carrying your card around everywhere.
Yeah, sadly, I lost my Magic Band, so I didn't get to use it this last trip. But one time I stayed at a Disney resort hotel, they used to give them out for free, and it's really convenient if you just want to tap and just it's I like that cruising is and theme parks are kind of coming together as far as that necessity goes. And kind of ending the cruise news, you wanted to tell me about some interesting stats here, Jesse. Is this all cruising in general or just certain cruise lines?
Yeah, so this is like for all cruise lines, not a specific cruise line. Like Carnival and Royal Caribbean are definitely more known for like the family friendliness, but then like Virgin Voyage or Celebrity or any of those like the bigger cruise lines, they're kind of made for like adults and older people. Um, but so, Jack, what do you think? Do you think more female sell or male? What do you think?
Dang, I feel like it's pretty 50-50, but if I had to guess, I'm gonna say males.
It's actually female. It's not by much. So it's 52.6% females sell compared to 46.9 male. So
They're never on the cruise ships I go on.
yeah, at the craps table maybe.
Oh, maybe there.
uh, lifestyle. So what do you think? So the demographic is family, singles, couples that are working, and the retired people. So the number one category is actually retired. That was at 52.7%. So that means age-wise, are probably higher too. Couples working is 25.8% of cruisers. Single was 9.5, and then families was 7.5, which is that to me that was the craziest stat for me what I've read so far. What do you think?
I wonder if you take Disney Cruise Line out of this equation, if that number is even drastically lower, simply for the fact that, yeah, we've been on Carnival ships where in the summertime, I would say there was maybe like less than 20% kids on those ships. Like it's predominantly adults.
Yeah, exactly. But to be honest, we also a lot of times we sell during like off season when a lot of the kids are in school. So I guess it does get skewed a little bit. And you're right. In Disney, I guarantee you the families is probably at least 50%, I'm sure. So that number probably goes up when you factor in Disney, stuff like that, which I definitely think. I think it's more crazy that there's more single people that go on the ships than families. I thought that was crazy. I thought there'd be more families, honestly.
To me, when you think of cruises, the top three demographics makes a lot of sense. Retirees, older people that want to gamble, want to go sit on a beach and, have, a lot of fun money. Let's put it that way. Couples, I mean, it is a romantic getaway to go on a cruise ship, be wined and dine at a nice fancy restaurant. And for the most part, a lot of honeymooners go on cruise lines as well, just because of how nice of an experience it is and how affordable it is instead of going to another country and doing everything on an individual basis. Singles, yeah, that's like the, I guess, urban legend that, swingers go on cruises. I mean, it does happen, but we don't.
There's definitely probably more on, Virgin Voyage or
yeah,
which I'm fine if that's your lifestyle, it's whatever, but
we don't, yeah, I think upside down pineapples are actually banned on Carnival ships if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the actual pineapple itself, but they're still getting around there. There's loopholes, there.
You can buy those stickers on Amazon if you want to prank your friends and put one of those on the door before the housekeeping team takes them down, please. That would be a pretty good prank, and post that on our Facebook channel. It makes a lot of sense that the retirees, couples, and single peoples go on cruises. Families, not saying that families won't have fun on a cruise, because obviously your family goes and your kids, early teens, so they're able to have a lot of fun. But I feel like there is more to do for adults on cruise ships than there are for kids. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cruise lines, they know the demographic, so they're definitely going to go towards that demographic for for the most part. But so, and that kind of leads to the next thing is the age wise, So, what percent of cruisers do you think are under 35? What percent?
I'm going to say the 55 up is probably at least 50 to 60%. So I'm going to say 25%.
So this number shocked me too. It says so under 35 is actually 2.8%.
Really?
That is crazy, right? So yeah, it's 2.8%. The highest, of course, was 66 plus, which was 46.8%. And then the next one is 56. So pretty much the older you get, like the more people sell. So the 56 to 65 was 32.3%. 40, 46 to 56 was 13.5. 35 to 40 year age was 4.6. So we're like
We're in the minority right there.
yeah, we're definitely in the minority. We're both 33. Or you're about to be 30.
I'm 32 right now. I'll be 33 in September.
You're not old like me.
Yeah, not there yet. I'll wait till September.
Yeah, so I definitely think that's definitely crazy. So the next category was number of cruises like they've been on. So
Are you talking about from a year-to-year basis or just overall in like their entire life?
in their total, the ones they interviewed, like the total life. So what percent of cruisers do you think gone on 10 plus cruises?
I feel like the number is going to be pretty high, so I'm going to go a little higher, and I'm going to say about 65%.
Dang, you're almost right on that. It was 64%. That's actually really
I mean, I still went a little over, so I wouldn't have counted, but
yeah. If you're going by what was that show? The Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Yeah,
I almost said Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, if you go by Price is Right, you were over. But hey, this ain't the Price is Right. So yeah, I think that's crazy. Only 2.9% gone one. So that means apparently what's happened is as soon as they go on that first one, they realize how great it is, and they're like, hey, we're going to keep going, you know?
I mean, yeah, once you kind of broke it down for me that a cruise is actually a lot more affordable than you would think, and which we'll talk about here in the next segment, but it kind of becomes a no-brainer to want to continuously go on these cruises just because like all food is paid for. You know, you pay a lump sum, and then whatever money you want to bring afterwards is you can budget for, whereas you just have to pay the cost to get on the ship in the first place, and that's all you have to really worry about, that and getting to the port itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing is going to be top cruise lines. So what do you think is the top cruise line?
Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, and it's actually barely beat the second, which is what?
Carnival.
Yeah, definitely Carnival. So it's 46.7, which I don't know how these numbers line up because these this adds up way more than 100%. So it says 64.7% was Royal Caribbean, 62.8 was Carnival, which I don't know how those two are over 100% already. Then what do you think the third one is?
My gut says Disney, or is it Norwegian?
Yeah, it's Norwegian actually.
Okay.
And then the next one was Princess. So that is definitely so destinations. Where do you think that they mainly go destination wise?
I mean, sailing out of Galveston, I think Cozumel has to be at least in the top 5. So that's going to be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, that is Caribbean. So the Caribbean just 89.2% cruises go to the Caribbean. That is crazy. That's pretty much 90% of cruises are going to the Caribbean area. Isn't that crazy?
So what would be the other options? Because they do have Alaskan cruises. I feel like that's a pretty niche market, though.
Yeah, but it says 51.8%, which I don't understand these stats. The stats don't even make sense because those are way more than I guess.
Are these AI generated stats?
Or? No, they're not actually. It's kind of weird. So, and then Alaska was number 2. The third was Mexican Riviera, which is, that's like from California.
The Pacific side.
Yeah, exactly. That's like that little, the Baja, Mexico, that whole area. Then the next one would be Europe and the Mediterranean cruises and stuff like that. Okay, so the preferred cruise length, I'll kind of go through these a little faster, but preferred cruise length, number 1 was 7 days. That was the best.
That's pretty standard because that's how many people can usually get a week off of work and they can go on a cruise and then come back to work.
Yeah, the second was 8 to 13 days, and the third was 14 plus days.
So where's like the 5 to 10? Where's the 3 to 5 days like I like?
Yeah, that was kind of crazy because you would think that they would do like the shorter sailings too, but it's not even on the list. So advanced booking. So this is like how far advanced you think the average person books a cruise?
I'm gonna say 6 months.
That's pretty close. So it's actually 7 to 12 months. That's 40% of people book at 7 to 12 months, which is, I think that's good. I like to book it ahead of time. As soon as I know I want to go on that cruise, I want to book it immediately because it kind of gives you something to look forward to. I don't know what about you, Jack. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever booked a cruise last minute. I've been invited on a cruise a month beforehand, but as far as like going on when we went on the Breeze, I think we did that like 8 months in advance. Same when we did the Glory, because we booked that back in January for an October sailing.
Yeah.
And when I went with my parents, I'm sure they booked it way in advance as well.
Yeah. So, and the last question they were asking was, what do you think people like? Why do you think they book a certain cruise? What's the number one reason? Is it the destination, like the itinerary, the cruise line, certain deals?
I mean, I feel like all factors play in here, but I'm gonna go on the cruise line.
Actually, that was a third, the cruise line. The number one was deal and offer. So I guess the cheaper one, or they got a good deal because which we'll talk about what great deal I got here in a second on MSC. And then the next one is destination and itinerary, and then the third one would be cruise line. So I guess more and more people are realizing not to be as loyal to a particular cruise line. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, especially if Carnival Rewards program isn't as good as it used to be, as you alluded to earlier. And we did kind of tease this a little bit, and you did say it just now, but your next cruise you're going to go on after your Jubilee trip in September will be a repeat of the MSC Seascape, correct?
Yeah. So we talked to some people that we know, and they wanted to go, so we're like, hey, that's a good time. We looked at the selling. It was actually the February 7th selling, which is pretty much the exact same time we went, like a week ahead of time to what we went this year.
Yeah, you're just gonna miss. You're gonna come back for the ice storm this time. You're not gonna avoid it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just hoping it's not as cold as it was last time. But anyways, yeah. So we booked this. I like to be very transparent about like what price we paid and all that. So other people can make a decision if they wanted to book. So MSC is great because they do this thing where kids sell free under 17. Royal Caribbean runs the same special, but it's up until like 12 or 13. So I would still have to pay for my kids because they're younger teens. And so literally my kids, I think I paid $70 for each of them to go.
And that's just the port fees that they call it, correct?
Yeah, the port fees. And I booked it with the drink package. They got the drink package free too with them. So for all four of us, we love inside rooms, honestly, because they stay cold. It was only $15.40 for it. So, and that was a drink package, Wi-Fi, and $80 onboard credit. I think that's a great deal. I did check this on a website. It's actually more expensive if you book it through the website directly yourself. So we actually booked it through a travel agent, which is actually some big YouTube channel, Cruise Control. Mike and Tanya, they do a great job booking and all that. They actually called me and we had a great conversation about the MSC Seascape. I mean, we actually met them on the Seascape last time. That's how I know them, and we hung out with them for like 4 or 5 hours, and we talked about everything, and it was fun hanging out with them. But it's definitely recommended to book through a travel agent, because it was like $200-$300 cheaper just booking through a travel agent, which is crazy.
Yeah, and because anytime I go on any of these trips, I like to try to do things myself. And going to have someone to do everything for you, because in my head I always thought that having a travel agent means I have to pay more because you have to pay the travel agent fees and whatnot, but the overall price was actually cheaper to do it through this than it was actually doing through MSC. So yeah, definitely check them out, and we'll give them a shout out again at the end of the episode, just because they helped you with your cruise, upcoming cruise, and they'll definitely help you, our listeners, as well.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that whenever you book a cruise, whether you book it yourself or through a travel agent, there's already a built-in commission in there. So you're either giving it to the cruise line, just giving it right back to the cruise line, or you're giving it to your travel agent. So me personally, I'd rather just give it to a travel agent, and especially if they're good friends and you know them real well, because hey, it's like free money in a way. I've seen some people even they become travel agents just so that they can
go on cruises.
You go on cruises because they technically would get a discount for going on the cruise. It's pretty cool. But anyway, so this is pretty much the exact same selling as we went last time. It goes to Cozumel, Costa Maya, Roatan, Honduras, the typical Galveston itinerary. But hey, everyone loves Cozumel. Everyone loves to go Mr. Sancho's. I know, Jack, you have some crazy stories from that.
Yeah, we can't talk about that on air. We have to get that NSFW warning if we ever talk about my Mr. Sancho's experience.
It's definitely we would like the whole episode would be blurred. Like they would probably blur every episode. You're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, and that would be the last ever episode of the Lido Loop if that story ever comes out. So you did say Cozumel, Costa Maya, and Roatan. So did you like? Because I've been to Cozumel. It's the same port that they go to in Carnival, or is it a different port in Cozumel?
It's actually a different port in Cozumel. You can actually kind of see Carnival. It's way down there, though. So it's actually a little bit more of a drive. So, like, if you get a taxi from the port, it costs a little bit more. It's probably about 10 more minutes. It takes probably about 20, 30 minutes to get there as it is. So it takes a little bit of drive. So you expect to pay. But this port actually is more for the international. They call it the international port. And it's actually probably the nicest port. And it's probably the cheaper. They got cheaper items in this port. Like, when you go to the Carnivals or Royal Caribbeans, which are, they're right next to each other, their port, everything's more expensive in the port area. But
we paid American prices for, quote, authentic Mexican food, but it was just, Americanized, I remember. And then, the little gift shops that they do have there, like the handmade stuff is actually a lot cheaper, but I mean, they're selling like Tempur-Pedic mattresses
until you look at the bottom, says made in China.
Yeah. I was like, I knew there was something off about this.
It's authentically brought in from Mexico or brought to Mexico from China.
Supporting tourism right there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hopefully will be joining you on this cruise. I'm still working the details out as well. I know you have a lot of family going on this cruise ship as well, in addition to your upcoming Jubilee one. Did you choose this MS? I know you already been on the Seascape, but did you choose this because of the price by comparison to Carnival or any other cruise line?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you definitely can't beat the price at all. $1,500 for 4 people to go on a 7-day cruise. That's almost unheard of. If I had to compare it to Carnival now, looking back, like months after I've been on it, I think I definitely like Carnival Jubilee a little bit better. But there's so many things I like about MSC that better than Carnival, and there's so many things I like about Carnival. So it's kind of hard to compare the apples to apples there because like they were like the drink package on MSC is way better compared to Carnival's. Like I hate having to sign like when you pay for like a drink, even if you pay for a drink package, they give you a slip to like try to tip you, get more tips, and I think it's kind of ridiculous, honestly. They shouldn't try to,
So they don't make you sign. You just swipe your card, you get a drink, and that's it.
Exactly. You can say, hey, I want 3 drinks, and they'll give you 3 drinks. It doesn't. It's not like Carnival. You got to wait like 10 minutes now. I think it is between drinks, and so, and like I remember I went up there one time. I was like, I want 2 Red Bulls and 2 San Pellegrino sparkling waters and margarita. Okay, and they just handed it to me. They didn't say, oh no, you can't order. You can order one at a time. They didn't say that at all. They just gave it to me.
And your Red Bulls or any sodas like. That's all included as well, or did you have to do sodas on top of the drink package as well?
So the drink package is all inclusive. That's specialty coffees, milkshakes, everything. And there's like one place there that does like these specialty coffees that like espresso, like coffee, like they're like chocolate coffees and stuff like that. That's not included, but everything else is included. All your wine, all that. And now I think we kind of talked about this like a couple episodes ago. I think they went away with like the limits because it no longer says limits on the website anymore. So I think it's unlimited like how Royal Caribbean does.
Now, the last time you went on the MSC, was it crowded by Carnival standards, or because they're still relatively new to the American market, are still people just trying to figure out how to go about it and how to wanting to try this new cruise line out, so to say?
No, honestly, the only day I felt it was like crowded was an embarkation day, which every cruise you could ever go on.
Yeah, because nobody can go to their room and nobody can go anywhere else. So they're just stuck on the Lido deck.
Exactly. Especially since the last time I went, it was like freezing cold. So everyone, when they first got on board, what'd you first thing you do when you get on board?
You go to Guy's Burgers.
Well, yeah, but not MSC.
Oh, no, not MSC, but yeah. No, you go up and go get some food.
Yeah, exactly. And so everyone went to go food, and no one wanted to eat outside, like on the Lido deck or anything like that. So everyone was in the buffet trying to eat. And there was like no place to sit. I remember we walked around like 4 times until we found a spot to eat.
At that point, you might just sit on the floor and just eat food off your tray.
Yeah, I mean, MSC doesn't have a lot of like side options that are. They actually have no options that outside of the buffet that are free. Other than like they do breakfast free at like Butcher's Cut, which is like their steakhouse, and then I can't drawing blank on they got like a Mexican taco place their breakfast there was amazing too. That was included too. And they give you like churros, and it's pretty cool. It's all included, and I think that was great. But they don't have anything like Guy's Burger or anything like that, which that is probably a little bit of letdown. But however, the buffet is way better, and hey, you don't have to worry about people scratching their feet in that buffet because they have plenty of Parmesan cheese already on board.
Good. They don't have to make their own. So love that for that. And I definitely can't wait to hear more about the MSC trip coming up. I know it's going to be in February. Kind of going back to your Jubilee trip. So the Jubilee that you're going to be sailing on will be in September, which is
September.
Yeah, time travel right there. But you are going in September, and it's in the peak of hurricane season. Now, you and I both have a little bit of experience like sailing through hurricanes. So as guests, there's really nothing that you can do. It's definitely up to the captain and the crew to avoid hitting the hurricane as much as possible, which they always do. But at the same time, do you find it risky to book during hurricane season?
It definitely could be potentially. This is why there's a couple things you can do. I'll go in a little in the future, I guess. In a little bit, I'll go over it. But yeah, it can be because. So I'll tell you my story. Actually, you have one with us. I was with you, and one is us. So right before me and my wife, we went on for our anniversary. We went to Miami on Carnival Conquest. We flew there. Like a day before we flew there, it got hit by a hurricane. Like, luckily, Miami is a little bit farther down, so it didn't get hit by it. But we were so worried that we were going to get canceled. Like the airline was going to shut down and all that. But they hardly got any wind. There wasn't any, like, I was expecting to go to the airport, trees be down. No, there was nothing down. It was perfectly fine. And so when we got on the cruise ship, we realized something that I think a lot of people canceled or wasn't expecting to get on board. So I think they canceled because it wasn't near as busy as a normal cruise ship was. And then tell the story about the Breeze when we were on that.
Yeah, so we were on the Carnival Breeze. This is summer 2024, and there was a hurricane that was forming in the Gulf, so we had to kind of go around it. The first day was actually really rough water. That's like the roughest waters I've been on a cruise ship, and also where I was, our room was on the second floor interior, and you could still feel the ship going up and down. So it was not a fun experience at first. Like I said, not the cruise line's fault. They were having to deal with, treacherous waters, and sometimes you just have to deal with it. We actually had to be rerouted. I remember I was watching one of the shows, and then the captain came on over the intercom and said that we're supposed to go to Progresso and Cozumel. At this point, we had already been to Cozumel for one day.
And I remember it was raining so bad that day. We actually had a reservation at Mr. Sancho's, and we had to cancel, remember, because of how rainy it was?
Yeah, and like the streets were flooded. Like there was, taxis going through water, and like the water was up to their hood. And, there were still people over there saying, hey, come to my shop. It's like, I don't have a boat. I can't get over there. So we didn't really get a good experience at Cozumel on that day. So we were actually able to go there a second day. It was still very overcast and a little bit of rain, but definitely not as bad as it was the previous day. But because we couldn't go to Progresso because of the storm, we actually got to spend 2 days in Cozumel, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, I didn't know anything about the Progresso port to begin with. And the Cozumel port is probably my favorite port to go to.
Yeah, I've definitely been in Cozumel probably it feels like 10 times I've been there, close to that. I've actually never been to Progresso. I was actually looking forward because Progresso actually has the longest pier. It's like
you just really want to get your steps in, after you've had your 3 drinks on the ship, and oh man, that's one heck of a way to get back on. Imagine the pier runners on the world's longest pier.
Yeah, there's a reason that they actually have free shuttles that take you there because ain't no one walking. It's like miles. I think it's like 3 or 4 miles. That's how long it is. That's crazy thinking that because the reason is it's just so flat there. Like the water is so thin that no ships can get there. So they have to make it go to the open ocean. That's a lot.
I mean, I feel like wouldn't it be better to tender port, or you can't really even tender port probably just because of how shallow that water is.
Yeah, it would be the same if you tender poured, but it would be even harder because they would have to go 5 miles to get you. On a tender boat, it's easier to just get a shuttle. Have multiple shuttles going, so you're always, it's a lot easier to get on a shuttle than a tender boat.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like 3 to 4 miles is definitely worth investing in the shuttle instead of walking that, because I mean we've been on piers where I know we're getting a little off topic, like Celebration Key and Cozumel. It's not that far of a walk. I've been to Jamaica.
Yeah, Celebration Key, you may just fall off, like all the people that's fallen off, but
a simple like picket fence would alleviate a lot of those people falling off.
I'm just saying, just a chain, like a little
one singular chain, I think would be perfectly fine.
Yeah,
That's a whole nother story for another day. But kind of going back to the hurricane aspect of it, it is out of the control of the guest, and like I said previously, the captain, the crew do a very good job at maintaining guest safety no matter what ship you're on. Because the worst thing that you could do is try to go through the storm to get to the destination, whereas change ports or do a different itinerary. This is not exactly hurricane related, but the first cruise I ever went on, the Carnival Triumph, like I know before the poop cruise, like I always say, we had to actually go. We were supposed to go to Honduras. I believe it was Roatan. I can't remember exactly. It was a long time ago. We actually couldn't dock because the water was so rough. So, even in that aspect, it was in the summertime and it could have been storm related, but weather will affect a cruise regardless if it's a hurricane or a storm. Because even when we went to Celebration Key, it was a rainy day and cold actually in the Bahamas, so we couldn't really enjoy it too much.
Yeah, so and don't make that discourage you from going, because first off, the captain, they know the storm. They're not like out there like, hey, let's just keep going and hopefully we avoid the hurricane. Like, they're definitely in constant communication with their office, and they're giving them the facts and like the best routes to avoid storms. They will go completely out of the way to avoid storms. More than likely, your cruise will never be canceled unless it just happens to hit the exact same day. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll just leave a day early or a day late. I've seen them do that before too. So they may send you a message, say, hey, don't show up this day, show up the next day or whatever. And sometimes it's usually it's early because it's kind of hard to know how much damage a storm's going to do. Because if it goes the day after a big storm, you're going to have trouble getting to Galveston Island after a major hurricane hit or something.
Yeah, we imagine you have road damage on 45 or something like that.
Yeah, I do remember, I do have some friends, actually they're planning on going with us on the Seascape, that they were on a ship out of Galveston, and then I think it was one of the storms hit Galveston, and it was so bad that they couldn't dock in Galveston. So they originally went to New Orleans. They had to go to New Orleans instead, and they docked there, and then it took them 3 extra days. So they were on the ship. They had 3 extra days on the cruise for them to open the port back up. So they got on it. So they literally stayed in New Orleans for a little bit, then they left there to go back to Galveston, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, what do you tell your boss? Like, hey, sorry, I can't, make it to work because there's a storm in Houston and I can't dock. I'm stuck in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you can say, I guess. I mean, I guess.
At that point, it's out of your control, though.
Yeah, exactly. Your boss probably understand, considering that there's a storm, and unless you're, a heart surgeon, I guess, or
heart surgeons, try to avoid going on cruises during summertime. Go in the wintertime is better.
But I definitely don't want anyone to get discouraged. This is definitely highly recommended to get travel insurance just in case this happens. Because say there is a big Cat 5 hurricane that's going to hit Galveston, in the middle of your cruise. Do you really want to still go on the cruise? Because you don't know what you come back to your house or whatever. So you might want to say, hey, I'm just going to cancel this cruise. But the cruise lines, they're just still going to want their money. Mm-hmm. So you're going to lose all your money. But if you have travel insurance, they'll cover it because that's part of their deal when you buy travel insurance, that you get your money back. So it's definitely recommended to get travel insurance for that reason, for sure.
Yeah, and I know you and I talked about on a previous episode about travel insurance. It's more than just hey, if I need to cancel in case of weather or something. It's even life-saving stuff.
Yeah, medical, if they have if they have to get you from a helicopter, Coast Guard comes down and gets you, it's $50,000. And
let's put on a credit card.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely recommended. Definitely if you're older or have any type of medical issues, it's definitely, you have to get it. Yeah, I mean, you got to get it. But I definitely say like any medical, even going down to like the what do you call it, the medical office, I guess they have on ship. I can't think of the right term for it, but
Infirmary.
yeah, the infirmary. Yeah, that sounds better. For like a Band-Aid, it's going to cost like $40. It's like hospital prices they charge down there. So it's definitely recommended to also bring your own medical kit, your own medications. Jack, how many times have you gotten medication from us because you needed it?
Every single time.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. You also want to bring headache, any type of medication you need, whatever. Just bring. We always bring it on board because you never know what you need for sure.
Absolutely. And so, kind of to put a bow on the cruising during a hurricane topic, like Jesse was saying earlier, don't be discouraged just because it's summer. Because, I mean, you could go on a cruise and the storm not happen. But, it is a risk that you run. I think that's with any sort of traveling in general, is that you just can't predict the weather. You go to Disneyland or Disney World, it could be flooding. It could be a lot of rain, really hot, really cold. You just never know. You can kind of plan it out based on the season, or even like the baseball games we went to. We went to game in Dallas, rained, and we didn't get to see it for 3 hours.
I think the game ended like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah,
midnight. It was crazy.
I thought they were just going to postpone it and play a doubleheader, or when we went to DC, there was one of the days that we were there, it was rain. But the point I'm trying to make is weather is a factor, but don't let it discourage or not make you want to go on that cruise ship, because you never know what the weather might be. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the Lido Loop. As always, you can follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and you can find our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jack. That's Jesse, and we will see you
on the Lido Deck,
or on the other cruise port in Cozumel where they have reasonably priced food.
Thank you for watching this episode of Lido Loop. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're notified every time we post more content.